Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Los here. We back on the throne of positivity where the first is last and the last is first. We on the new podcast episode. I've been waiting to do this for so long. I stopped doing it. There's been a lot of things going on in life, but I told you I was coming back with my man's Justin. You go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Justin Rivera. For y'all don't know me, I've been knowing Carlos for a long time. Consider this guy my best friend. So I'm humbled to be on the show. Instagram, y'all can follow me at Justin Rivera CEO. But man, I appreciate you for having me on here.
Definitely.
I know we've been talking about it for a long time,
Yeah.
and I'm just humbled to be here today, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And it's been a minute. Like he said, we've known each other since Florida. Your uncle was my neighbor, and I think since I was like 15 years old. So we going on like 12, 13 years strong, and it's been a lot coming, bro.
Yeah,
It's
man,
been a lot of things.
That's for sure, bro.
And then now we on a whole different path from when we met and how we was living our life back then. So just give a little brief rundown of your life, like who you are, what should people know about you?
Hey, yeah. So I grew up on the East Coast, mainly in New York and New Jersey. My father's Puerto Rican, my mother's Dominican. My dad grew up predominantly in Boston. My mom predominantly in New York. Grew up in Jersey, and kind of bounced around a little bit. I lived with my father in Boston. Kind of saw that. Living in New York, New Jersey. I've lived in Florida. And now I'm active duty military. I've been in the Marine Corps for 6 years, and it's something that I enjoy. It has its ups and downs, but it's definitely a wild ride. But other than that, I'm a man of family. Come from a huge family background. A man of faith. Even though I've lost it from time to time, definitely been something that I've been battling with my whole life. But that's about it. I'll keep it nice and short. But that's me right there.
Definitely, man. And it's like, we've known each other a long time. I didn't grow up in church. You didn't really grow up in church. Would you say, or how would you describe that?
To be honest, my grandparents are very, they're Pentecostal Christians. They grew up. I wouldn't say grew up in church, but they were in church pretty much all their life. And they try to instill that on my uncles and my mother. And, for a while we were kind of just always in and out of faith. But my grandparents were the foundation of our faith for sure. So I would say up until about, 14, 15, I was in church. And, like every other teenager, I kind of rebelled from it. I didn't really, stick with it. I kind of thought it wasn't a serious thing. But now, obviously, my perspective has changed a lot. So
Yeah, definitely. And we've been together for 12 years, going on 13 years strong. And let's get into a little bit like our past, because a lot of people, they know us from back in the day. And then now they see us, we going strong in the faith. And I think that speaks testimony to who God really is because of how we was running up and down in the streets back in the day. So, let's get into it, like how when you used to come from Jersey or from up north and you would come to Florida, like how was our life when we would be together? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that man to take it back. Every time I came down to Florida, it was like, man, it's party season.
Yeah.
And everything we did, we went at it 100%. Whether it was going out, we was always, kind of doing what a lot of people, nowadays might look at as, being rebellious or just kind of like we were trying to find ourselves. We were out there partying, doing things that we just shouldn't have been doing. And you know what? I really do appreciate us going through that because it kind of shaped who we are today. We experienced a lot of things and, we learned a lot of lessons and we really did go through like some dangerous situations, some lessons of, us being broke and still going to the club and managing like to come out of there with whatever we wanted. It was just, it was a life we thought we was on top at that time.
Yeah.
And now obviously we look back at it and it's kind of something that we learned from. So
Yeah, definitely. And just to speak like, how for me, I want to give a specific story that literally changed my life, and that's when you started seeing me change towards my life towards Christ, and that was that time you came. He came. It was like 2013, I think 2012. Came in the brand new whip, the Hyundai Sonata. You drove down by yourself, and then we go out. We go downtown, and whatever we doing our thing in the club or whatnot. And when we get out, we both lit, and then I ended up driving, and I was already lit, so I was drunk. I don't know why I was driving. Obviously, I was young, I was ignorant, thinking that I could do whatever I wanted. And we trying to pull out a downtown parking lot. I ended up smashing the whole side of your car,
yeah.
and instead of like stopping, since I was already like kind of drunk, I was like, nah, we just pulled off. We peeled off. We get to the 7-Eleven downtown on Princeton, and it's me, you, and my other boy, my other man's from back in the day, and everybody's just kind of panicking. I go to use the bathroom, and then I hear outside like you arguing with somebody because whatever. I guess I skipped him, and back in the day, I didn't ask questions. You know what I'm saying? So when I got out the bathroom, we started brawling. And as we brawling, whatever, y'all broke it up, and then we get outside and try to put me to relax. And then the dude, he went to his car, and he comes back. He got his hands balled up or whatever, and I'm thinking he's ready to fight again. So we going at it, and then whatever, we break it up again, and y'all throw me in the passenger seat, and then my other man, he's like, yo, you leaking, like you leaking from your ear or something. And I touch my ear, and I'm like, yo, he ripped my earring out. And I'm thinking like, wow, like half my ear is probably all messed up because he beat me up or whatever. But then he was like, nah, yo, you leaking from your head. And I got sliced on my head. And that week was like my hell week, because it was in that time, every time we would go out, bro, I would hear the voice of God. And it would be like, yo, you shouldn't be here no more. And I would ignore it. I'm like, nah, what you mean? I'm not supposed to be here no more. Of course I want to be here. I want to be where my dudes is at, where the girls is at, where the drinks is at, where all the fun and the party is. But things started happening one by one, where God was increasing his level of resistance towards me. And that was the last straw for me. I was like, you know what? I see that my life is going down the wrong path, and that's it. I kind of stopped cold turkey on it. And that's like kind of the same time that me and you kind of fell out a little bit after that. We kept chilling or whatever. We kept doing our thing, but we really slowed down after that. Like,
Yeah,
kept it
that's
more
true.
local and stuff. But so talk to me about like what happened after that period. Like you decided. We literally went from going out every single day, like 6 days a week, to one day I go into your car and I see Marine signed paperwork on the floor, and my whole heart dropped. I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do now? Because you was gonna be out.
Yeah, it. That's probably that was a pivotal moment in my life too, because I saw myself gradually getting out of character. Like I didn't grow up in the worst place, but I definitely surrounded myself around a lot of BS, and that was a wake up call, because during that time, that was when tensions were super high. Like we was in and out of jobs. One second we was on top of the world, had all the money, and then the next second we lost it all. So I think a lot of tensions were high. So we was always on fight mode, and even during that time, like going through that experience, seeing you fight, and there's a lot that happened, that we're not really gonna speak on, but it could have ended up very, very, very bad. And I look back at it, and just that was our sign. It was like, hey, you're gonna lose your life. One of you guys are gonna lose your life. You're gonna lose something more valuable than you even think. And it really could have turned south. And even after that, like after that whole altercation, they posted up security there to let y'all know how bad that was. And it really did open up my eyes, just seeing my best friend almost get, he could have lost his life on that situation. And a lot of people really don't know like how severe that could have really got. So I'm grateful we came out. But even after that, a lot of things changed. We weren't going out as much, or at least we started to slow down. And that's when I made a decision to kind of like go down where my uncles went. They did the whole military thing, and I saw like how successful they were in life, and the things they obtained from doing their time and their service. So I was like, I think it's a good idea. And at the time, my brother actually joined. So we were going out together. And now that I look at it, it was kind of my way. I feel like God told me like, hey, you got to get out of here, because if not, like, something bad is gonna happen. And even though we were good kids, and we were good, we had good hearts on us, like we were just in the wrong with how we were living.
Yeah.
And our family saw that, like they really did. We come from family ties, and they really like didn't want us hanging out with each other, because we was really like
Reckless.
about to hurt, get each other hurt, man. And that's what it came down to. But ultimately I made that decision. I had to make that for me. And it kind of, now that I think about it, that was our time of separation to kind of go through life.
Yeah.
And really kind of get ourselves together. And who knew that 7 years later we'll be right back here.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part, because we went from every day being together, literally like my older brother, because you're a year older than me, and going out and you doing that. And I don't know if y'all been in this routine of like going out and just partying all the time, and you with that person, and then from one day to the next, it's just like boom, the whole life change. And then you as the individual, you kind of codependent on that person. So I was like, yo, I don't even know what I'm gonna do now. You know what I'm saying? I got into a relationship or whatever afterwards, because I felt like, whatever. Got into a bad relationship, and then came out of that and fell into depression. And that's how I really found God, was through that depression in 2014. And you and we didn't see each other for like a good 6-7 years. But it's crazy how God separated us back then, when he was giving us all those signs, only to come back and bring us together for a true purpose, a greater calling. And I'm just amazed at how that happened, because I never seen myself coming to California and then being over here. You know what I'm saying? So you want to talk about like kind of the months leading up to me getting here, and then how your life changed after I got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really think that timing couldn't have been any better. I'm really a believer that timing is everything. In the last couple months before, Carlos hit me up and told me like, hey, this is the decision I'm making. I'll be honest with you. When it came to things of the flesh, I was, my business ventures were great. Everything was on top. I was out there kind of living the life, and in California, it's an expensive place to live. So I was really doing the military thing. I had, a couple different businesses, and I was successful. And I was just, utilizing my time and all of my success the wrong way. I felt like I was missing something, and it was like this huge void that I was trying to fill. And I'm gonna tell you what, a lot of people think that money does it. It doesn't. Maybe environment, placement, it doesn't do it. Like there's just a void that needs to be filled, that can only be filled by God. So on that Wednesday when you called me, it was crazy, because I had one of the worst days the day before. And I woke up and I really prayed that night. And this is before I even started going back to church, and before I got baptized and really try to change my entire life. He called me on a Wednesday. He's like, hey man, like I know what you're going through. I'm moving out there. I feel like you need my guidance, and you need me there with you. And I was like, man, bro, like you don't even know what that really said to me. That changed like the trajectory of my entire life at that point. And I just started to see things for what they were. I started seeing the people that were around me that shouldn't have been around me. I started to see people's intentions. I started to really understand the consequences of how I was living my life in that last year previous. And there was no amount of success that I could have ever wished for that would have made me happy as I'm happy now that God's in my life. And it's crazy, because everything that I was ever taken away in the last year, I got back times 20. And I tell a lot of people, like, you really need to like just look at yourself in the mirror, and all of those holes that you see in yourself, you know, all of those wants, all of those needs that you feel like you have, there's only one person that could fill that, and that's God himself, man. And you guys really won't understand what that means until you just take that leap and just start, you know, crack open the Bible, like start going to church, find yourself around better people that have faith, and just watch how everything starts to work in your life. And coming from us, like that's a
Yeah.
big deal. I know a lot of
That's a
people look
big
at us
thing.
and they're like, you know, how can you change
Yeah.
in the matter of days, weeks, months? You know, like it takes people decades to make these changes. And I'm telling you, when you've been through some things, there's just one path that it's taking you towards, and that's the path of God. And is it easy? Absolutely not. You know, there's like it's not like, hey, all right, I'm gonna agree to do this with God, and you know, kind of go in the direction He wants me to go into, and my life's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
If anything, it's the opposite. You're gonna get tried even more. Your faith is gonna be, you know, tried on a daily basis. So, you know, it's kind of ran into a tangent, but it's really like, man, like it's impactful. Like the circumstances that we were put in, you know, what we've been given. Nobody even understands like what level we're about to take this, and you know, we're blessed to be here for real.
Yeah, definitely. And when he talks about success, he's not just talking about business ventures of like starting up some small business. We talking about him touching $10,000-$20,000 a month in addition to what you making in the Marines anyway. So he really was up there doing what he got to do, being successful in that way, and really doing whatever you want to do. And he's not just telling you that is all vanity for no reason. He went through this and he experienced these things. So when I got here, I saw a lot of things uh that we did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But I'm now a new individual, like with my relationship with Christ and how he changed my life. I was like, yo, there's no way on this earth that I'm gonna leave you in that predicament, because I already know where we came out of. And if I got the truth, I'm gonna give you the truth. If I got the light, I'm gonna give you the light. And yo, what I've seen in the past, I got here at the end of August. What I've seen in the past 2-3 months, God do in your life and in my life, is just inexplicable. It's literally impossible for us to do that of our own accord. And it just speaks to how real and true God is and how faithful he is to himself. Because it's just like, yo, all God wants is sincerity in our heart. Because like you said, you was probably at the end of your road and you prayed that prayer on that Tuesday night, and then I ended up calling you, and
Yeah,
and,
man.
and I remember that conversation because it felt so spiritual when I was having that conversation. And it's like God is gonna do what he gotta do, whether he gotta bring somebody from 3,000 miles away to come and change your life and do what he gotta do. And man, I'm just so grateful that he brought us together because, yeah, I came here as the spiritual maturity or the leader, so to speak, in that sense. But what I've learned a lot is is things from you. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how I am. We completely opposite as friends, right? Like I'm the hothead, but you the cool and calm one. You very patient. I'm mad impatient. I'm
Yeah, man.
very impatient,
Yeah.
but I'm passionate in what I believe in, and I do it because I believe in it. But you take things in a more calculated, more tempered and slow pursuit that it really advanced me in the kingdom years ahead of what I could have done by myself. And I just be looking at things, and especially in the areas of being anxious about stuff, because I'm so impatient, like the way that I've seen you really trust in God, it just for me it inspired me to be like, you know what, I could really let go of the troubles or the anxieties or the doubts that I may have of the promises God gave me, and just be like, yo, at the end of the day, God is gonna do what he gotta do. I might as well just trust in him. So that's one of the most important things that I've learned from you. And like, man, it's a beautiful thing. So how do you feel like your relationship with God developed in this time?
You know, it's been tough, man. I know God be looking down at me sometimes, like, man, just wanting to like give you that tough love, like that
Yeah.
dad, like just a slap in the head, like, man, what
Yeah.
you doing? But to be honest, it's developing at a pace that myself and him are comfortable with, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And being in your faith is not supposed to be comfortable,
Not at
and,
all.
and it's like, I get tried on a daily basis, like I was saying, but I learned to trust in everything that he does. I think at this point I realized that whatever's not meant for you, even if it hurts, or even if whether it's in business or relationship or friendship, the things that you lose, just remember that he never replaces with worse. If it's everything through him, he's gonna replace it with better. And I had to learn that there's businesses I wanted to launch. Like I had plans on launching a hookah lounge. We had plans on launching a barbershop. We were like deep in these ideas, and I asked myself, like, for one, is this what God wants me to do? It's cool. Like, hey, obviously those ventures would have brought brought in a lot of money and put us in a better spot. But is that really what God wants me to do? And I wasn't doing things through him. And as soon as I realized, it's like, hey, you ask him what he wants out of your life. If what sacrifices does he want you to make? And if you just make those, whatever you thought you were gonna get, it'll be times 7.
Yeah.
And it's really a beautiful thing, but it's a struggle every day. Like, living a life in the flesh and then just, making this leap in your faith and just to try to get right with God, you still revert back to old ways sometimes, and you have to catch yourself. And the biggest thing that I was taught, even in business, is like, you never make the same mistake twice. Once you do, that really is, you're not learning off of the mistakes you're making, and you're just going to be running in place. And that's one of the biggest things that I just give my life, and I trust in him. Anything he does, I really believe in it. And, any step I make, any move I make in business, in my life, I'm asking God about it. Even when it comes down to friendships, relationships, if people aren't supposed to be there, trust me, like, they're gone, and that's just the reality of it. Because at the day, at the end of the day, we got to answer to him and nobody else. So.
Nah, that's real, and it's really an amazing thing to see this type of transformation. Because oftentimes I've been Christian for like 6-7 years. You get caught up in the motions and you kind of forget your beginnings a little bit, and like what were the things that you had to go through to get where you at. So seeing this from a fresh new perspective, it really brought me back to my first love in a lot of ways with God. And it's really inspiring to see you just go all in and have no reservations with God. And like you said, it's a struggle, bro. Like every day is literally a struggle.
Yeah.
That's why you might as well give up on yesterday and give up on tomorrow and just focus on today, because today has enough worries in it. And just like the Bible says. So just to conclude, like, since you're fresh in it and you got this new perspective, why should people who are in the world currently, that they doing what they doing, they in the club, or they feel like they doing the right things according to their own eyes, why should they give up those things so that they could seek God?
Man, that's a great question. And, I asked myself that at first. And the answer that I can give everybody is this: there's a sense of emptiness that you will never try to admit to yourself, that nothing else can fill but God. Like, as a man, like, man, my wife, my future wife cannot do that. My friends cannot do that. All the money in the world cannot do that. The things of the world, like, materialistic things, are not going to fill that void. And even though, like, I thought at the time, like, I was living my best life, like I was wherever I wanted to be at any time. And there's always, at the end of the night, when you go to lay down after you made all these big purchases, after you finished at the club and popped every bottle in there, after you had the best time with your friends, you always come home, lay down by yourself. There's always that sense of emptiness that can only be filled by God. So for me, and my advice to everybody out there that's looking to make that change, just do it. try it. You know what I'm saying? I don't just try anything. When I'm in, I'm in. So I really want you to, like, if you've been wanting to take that leap and like, let me see what this could do for me, I promise you will never regret it. And that's, that's pretty much what I got on that.
Hey, I know you guys are feeling it, what he's saying, because it's just straight facts. And God is calling his true people. If you get in touch by this, it's because God's calling you. God did what he did in Justin's life and in my life for a purpose, and it's for a reason. It's so we could reach you behind this camera. We're going to keep going through things, and we're going to keep doing what we got to do so that we could bring this message to you guys. And I appreciate my brother, coming on and doing this with me. It's just an amazing turnaround, and how ironic things have really transpired in our own life, and how God took us from the darkness that we was at to bring us into the light and do what we got to do now. And I'm so excited for what we're going to do together, because God has great and major plans. So y'all know what it is. It's Los here. Got my man's Justin with me. We on the throne of positivity where nobody shall dethrone us. The first is last and the last is first. Y'all subscribe to the channel. Like, go ahead and hit that follow button for the podcast. Support the ministry. This is what we all about. We just want to be real. Again, follow him on Instagram. Go ahead and give your Instagram.
Said at Justin Rivera CEO. Send me a follow, man. And honestly, thank you for having me on here.
Yeah.
This is only the beginning. We got so much more about to come out, right?
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
it's gonna be a good time. So I'm hoping you guys like the content, follow, like. All right, so appreciate you, bro.
Stay tuned. We out here doing things for the kingdom of God.
Facts.
Word.
That was good.
That was good.